Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Kale from Cubo Gaming, and I'm gonna be completely open and honest with you. I love Warzone. In fact, I enjoy the Battle Royale genre. I love the competition nature and the adrenaline you get from playing them. It's such an infant game mode compared to other game modes that have been around for decades. So, seeing something fresh is great for BRs because it pushes for more creativity for the game mode overall. Some people aren't really cut out for battle royales and they prefer more low-key games, which I also enjoy. But I wanted to get that out there before I start talking about this game because I don't want anyone saying,
"Oh, you made this video because you just hate BRs."
So no, I actually really enjoy BRs. Seeing the footage from Bloodhunt a few months ago had me, a little in the middle about the game. I thought the concept was really interesting. I mean, a battle royale game that changes up the genre pretty drastically, I don't think that it's been done before, but pulled off successfully, it would really evolve the BR scene. I will say that I was a little unsure with the game just seeing the footage and kind of the general atmosphere that it had. Plus, I noticed that the game was set in a pretty dry looking city in the nighttime, which I'll talk about a little later. Just a fair little warning, I don't like this game so much, so let's just get into it. Before I start my little whining spree, I do want to give credit where credit is due, and I'll say that, hey, I can definitely see that this game wasn't just tossed together. You can actually see that, they did put work into it. I mentioned this before, but I like the concept of the game. Obviously, it takes someone to push the envelope in order for genres to evolve, and props to the studio for going for something non-conventional. Now, did anyone ask for the game? Well, I don't know about that. Something else I'll give them props for is the movement, for the most part. I actually love this element of the game. I'm always on board for fluid movement that promotes rushing in a fast-paced game. That's a lot of the reason why I like Warzone. I prefer stuff like that, and the dynamic movement in the game, I actually really enjoyed. And the movement isn't perfect by a long shot, but overall, I really liked it, and especially with the variety of vampire types, playing as Brute allowed me to get out of a lot of situations with the jumping ability. And continuing on the good things about the game, I like the scalability of the game. Again, this game uses a lot of interesting ideas, and being able to have gunfights not only on the ground and in the buildings, but on top of those buildings. It creates a lot more scenarios than other BRs. I also liked the different vampire types, which gives the game a good amount of variety. And I like the idea of drinking blood from random people around the map. I say idea because the execution of that is, well, it's another thing. Overall, the developers built a BR that surrounds an already interesting genre and world. And I hope this pushes the boundaries of BRs and we get some interesting games that take inspiration from thinking outside the box. Other than that, oh man, this game has some serious issues. So where do I start? Well, the game for me was just not a good experience. I played with some friends and it just didn't click for us. Now, I have reasons for this, and there were some obvious flaws with the game that I think hindered me from enjoying the game in the way that I think the developers intended. Before I get into some of the gameplay flaws I experienced, I want to go over the graphics and the atmospheric elements. These aren't nearly as bothersome as some of the gameplay issues I have, but I definitely noticed them. Now, the atmosphere, although it is really interesting, it just feels so depressing. I just can't see myself, or frankly many other people, playing this game for months and years. Just think of Apex. The colors are vibrant and the world is interesting and exciting. I know that Bloodhunt is about vampires and it needs to be nighttime. I just think that this is one of the reasons this genre may not be compatible when trying to compete with some of the other massive BR titles. I think that nighttime is cool, but after a few matches, I just wasn't really into it anymore. Not only was the map dark and depressing, but rainy too. In fact, it's so rainy that the character models literally glisten constantly. I couldn't understand why all of the characters looked like they had glitter on them. Like, the graphics in the game aren't terrible. They actually look pretty good. But this odd glittering on all of the characters, I mean, it doesn't really bother me a whole lot. It was such an odd addition that didn't need to be there. The effects and character movement feels and looks great. The game is extremely fluid, and I really like that. I mentioned before that the movement wasn't always working, and I think this is something they could fix. But for a game that feels so free-flowing and smooth, it just really sucks when you're trying to climb up a building and get stuck on the top lip of the building. I mean, they have had to have run into this in their testing. This happened to me so often, and usually at the worst moments when I was trying to retreat to heal or something. I mean, like I said, I think it can be fixed, and I'm positive it will be. It was a little disappointing to experience that. I guess I've already kind of bled into the gameplay aspect of the game, so might as well tackle that. One of the biggest issues I have with the game is the time to kill in the game. So I haven't tried the game on controller, only on mouse and key, but the gameplay is so dynamic and explosive that I feel the time to kill is just way too long. It's already a challenge enough to track your enemy, which I do like, by the way, but you miss a lot of your shots, and it just sucks to have to not load one clip, but 2 or 3 into a guy. Not only that, but this game does not need armor plates. I don't know if they wanted to do a Warzone type thing, but it just doesn't need to be in the game. It slows down the fast-paced feel of the game, and it just adds more frustration when you're shooting a tanky player. And not only that, but the animation takes like, I think it's 6 or 7 seconds, and you can't do anything else but walk super slow. I think something like blood stims would be great instead. I know they have the blood banks where you can get extra blood, but something like a stim shot would be really interesting. Just pop one in while you're running and your health regenerates. Rather than having an insane amount of shielding, you can die faster, but you can also pop a stim faster while continuing to run around and move. Not this super slow animation of plating up in the game that's meant to be a fast and dynamic game. I mentioned before that I like the blood drinking feature in the game, but oh man, it was just executed so terribly. The NPCs in the game are just sitting around in the most random places. Like they are only there for the sake of, well, being there to die. What I would like to have seen is maybe traffic driving around, or NPCs walking around, or buying food, or, you know, doing regular people things. Instead, they are in super random alleyways, just standing still or on their phone. I guess it isn't a huge deal, but I mean, come on. You could have made the world a little more immersive. Now, the game does map dynamics incredibly, but the problem is that you can go on top of buildings and all of that, but unfortunately, the game lacks depth. What I mean is that only some buildings can you go inside, and the ones that you can are just a room or two. I feel like most of the buildings you can't go inside. And on top of that, most of the map looks the same, and they really didn't need to light up nearly every window in each building. It just looks so similar. I really dislike bashing on games, but this game just fell so short for me. Look, I say try the game out, and if you dislike it, then move on. But if you like it, just ignore everything I just said. Obviously, the look of the game, although cool, just seems so bland, and the TTK issues I can't really get past. It's a really interesting concept, but I just don't see myself enjoying it long term. Okay, boil it down to this. Consider the competition. Do you see this game competing? Do you see large Twitch streamers playing this a year from now, or even 6 months? Do you see yourself playing this 6 months from now? So, whatever your answers are, for me, I just don't see this game surviving. I see a future of long matchmaking times, but honestly, with some work and a lot of time, I can possibly see this game fitting in the BR genre. I just think it's unlikely, and I don't see the existing community hopping ship from other BRs to play this one. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope I didn't get some of you too heated, but anyways, be sure to check out our gaming podcast, Cubocast, and some of our other videos on the channel.